Hey guys, my name is Deb Marnie and I'm from Aussie Maille, and welcome to our chainmail tutorial channel. Hey guys, a big hi, hello, welcome. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. Thanks for popping along and spending some time with us. Today I'm working on the second project in our November Mail Club subscription box. So this one is a bracelet using a slight variation on the Romanov weave. Alright guys, so let's just jump straight into it. Okay, so here's a sample piece of the Anastasia bracelet that we'll be making today. So as you can see, it's just a slight variation on your basic Romanov unit, but I feel it gives a very distinctive look to the piece. Okay, so we're going to start this project off by creating the Romanov units. So to do that, take up one of the 18 gauge 3.5mm ID rings, and I'm going to pop on 4 rings of the same size. Now you can pre-close these rings if you want, or you can just pop them on as you see me doing here straight out of the bag, and then we will go in and close that up once we're finished. So pop them onto a single ring, close that ring up, and then double that ring up so that we've got a chain of 3 pairs of the 3.5mm ID rings. Okay, and then I'm just going to go back through and close up those 4 rings that we added. So we're just creating 2 pieces of Byzantine per Romanov unit. So I'll just show you how to do that once for anybody that hasn't done Byzantine before. But we've got plenty of tutorials here showing you how to use Byzantine. So if you need some further help, check out the link up here in the corner, and I'll link you to some of our videos there. Alright, so I'm going to put a twist tie through the end of one of the chain here. You don't need to do this, but it does help you, especially if you're not used to working with rings this small. Okay, so once we've got our small chain of 3 pairs of rings, I'm now going to hold on to our work so that I'm pinching it in between my finger and my thumb, just leaving that top pair of rings, and I'm going to flip those rings so I've got 1 on each side. I'm going to continue to fold them all the way back against the weave, and I'm just going to pinch them in place. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to separate out these top pair of rings, because what I want is this small gap that you can see just in there. Okay, straight through there, those rings that we just flipped back, that's where I'm going to place my next new ring. So another 18 gauge 3.5mm ring. I'm just going to go in there and pick up both of those rings there that we just flipped back, close that up, and repeat with a second ring. So just take up another ring and feed it through that same space. Okay, so there we have a half Byzantine unit. So we're going to keep going to finish this up to make one complete unit. So to do that, we need to create that initial 3 pairs of chain that we started with. So the last pair of rings that we put in, that becomes our first in our 3, and then we just simply want to add rings until we have that chain of 3 pairs again, that starting chain. Okay, so there's our second pair, and I just need to add 1 more pair. Okay, and nearly there. Okay, so you can see we've got our starting pair of 3 pairs of rings, again our starting chain I should say, and we're going to do as we did before. We're going to hold the work between our finger and our thumb, flip back, separate out the end pair of rings, flip them all the way back against our work and pinch them against our work. I'm going to separate those top rings there that are now there, and we're going to expose that space that's in there. Those are the rings that we flipped back. We're going to lock those into position, and we do that by just taking up another ring of the same size, going through that space, making sure we pick up both of those rings. Okay, sorry about that, I'll just do that again. So we go through the space, pick up both of those pairs of rings, close that ring up to secure it all in place, and then we're going to add another ring through the same space. Okay, so this is our final Byzantine unit. You need 2 of these per Romanov unit, and to make up the bracelet as I have designed it, you will need to make 10 Romanov units. So in its entirety, you're going to need to make up 20 of these completed Byzantine units. So you guys go ahead and do that, and I'll meet you back here to show you what the next step is once that is done. Okay, so the next step is to make up the little looped beads that's going to be in the center of the Romanov unit. So to do this, I just take a head pin. This one is about 7 centimeters in length, and I just chop the ball off the top so that I'm left with just a piece of wire. And then I only need about half of this per bead. Okay, so I'm going to measure this out and cut it off at about 3.5 centimeters. So if you don't have any head pins this long, you can just use whatever wire you've got handy, or shorter head pins, but you'll need roughly around 3.5 centimeters of wire per bead. All right, so once we've got that piece of wire, and I've just put the other one aside for the second one, I'm just going to create a loop in the end of our wire here. So I just grab the end of the wire. Please excuse my cat, he's desperate to come in, but I won't let him come in while we're filming, so my apologies. So I grab the wire and I'm just creating a simple loop in the end of my wire like that. Now I actually like to go around a second time so that we've got, you know, a loop that looks more like this, a little bit doubled. Because of our rings are all doubled in Romanov, I like to just double up the wire. You don't have to do that. You can just do one single loop and leave it. It's totally up to you. All right, so once I've got my sort of little 1.5 loop going on there, I grab my bicone. So this is a 6mm Swarovski bicone. Just pop that on my bead, and then I need to create the loop on the other end, and I do it just the same way. I go in, I grab the end, and I just make the same sort of loop. So I've gone around once, I'm coming around again, and I'm going to keep going with that until it's snug up against my bead. Now be careful with the Swarovskis or any crystal or even glass bead. If you go in too tight, you can crack the edge of them. They are delicate, so you want to be careful while you are making your loop. Now as you can see here, my loops are not on the same plane. I've got one sticking out here, one sticking out there. I want them to be all positioned the same way, so I'm just going to grab my pliers and give them a little twist until they're looking, the loops are facing the same way. Okay, but once you've got your beaded unit, we're going to make our Romanov unit up. Okay, sorry, words are hard today. All right, so this time I'm going to grab my 16 gauge 4mm ID ring, so the 1.2mm diameter wire with a 4mm ID, and on that I'm going to pop one of our Byzantine units, the beaded unit that I just made up, and then a second Byzantine unit. I'm going to close all of that up. So our work now looks like this. And then I'm going to grab another 4mm ID ring, and I'm going to come to the other end of our work and join all those together as well. Okay, so that's your completed Romanov unit. So you'll need to make up as many of these as you need to make the bracelet, which in this case is 10. So if you guys go ahead and finish making up all your units, and I'll meet you back here to show you the next step in the bracelet. Okay, so we now just want to add our Romanov unit, to each other until we've got a chain that's equal to the length that we need our bracelet to be. So to do that, we just take up our 3.5mm ID ring, go through one of the 4mm ID rings on one Romanov unit, and go through 4mm ID ring on another Romanov unit. Now, depending on how you did your beaded loops, you may have what I consider a right and wrong side of your loop. This way you can see my loop sort of sits under my bead, and on this side the loop sort of is quite prominent. I make that the back of my piece and the not so prominent the front of my piece. So I just want to make sure that I've got those loops facing the right way. So once I'm sure of this, I'm going to go through and I'm going to double that connection up. So just keep adding Romanov units to each other in that fashion until you've got the length that you require. And then I'll meet you back here to show you the next step. Okay, so here's my bracelet. So you can see that I have started adding the additional rings. So the straight Romanov section looks like this. And I mean, you could leave one of these each end of your bracelet, give it that very distinctive look. But what I'm going to do now is show you how to put these rings in place to fill in these side units here. So first what we're going to want to do, and these are all with our 3.5mm ID rings, we're going to come in and we're going to add one 3.5mm ring. So one ring in here and one ring in here. Okay, so this is the 16 gauge 4mm ID ring. So we just want to add an additional ring on each side of those 4mm ID rings. So you can go all the way down the bracelet if you like, or you can work just between two units. It's up to you how you do it. So we're going to want 2 there and 2 on the next one as well. So we're going to just pop those on now. So 1 on that side and 1 on the other side of your piece. Okay, so we've got 2 pairs of rings hanging off there. Now what we're going to do, taking up another small ring, we're going to come to this ring here in our Byzantine chain. Okay, we're going to go through that wing, just that wing there that you can see. We're going to go through that wing and then through one of those rings there that we just added. Okay, we're going to close that up and we're going to double that ring up. Okay, so put a same ring through the same path. All right, so through the wing and then through the ring that we added previously to the 4mm ring. Okay, so it should look like that. Okay, so we now need to go ahead and add the rings like that on all of those 4 rings that we just added. So picking up the ring that we added to the 4mm ring and then picking up the wing from the Byzantine unit on that side, close it up, okay, and double that ring up. Okay, just like that. So just work your way around, adding those 2 rings. So through the wing, through the spare ring that's hanging off the 4mm ring. Okay, doubling that ring up. Okay, so we've got 3 placed. We just need to do 1 more pair up there. So I'm just going to go through the ring that's hanging off the 4mm and then pick up the wing on the Byzantine unit there, close that up and double that ring up. Okay, so this is what it looks like at the moment. And then what we just want to do now is join those sets of rings that we just added together on each side. Okay, so to do that we take up another 3.5mm ring and we just go through both of those pairs of rings that we just added, close it up, and of course you're going to want to double that ring up as well. Okay. Alright, so it looks like this. And we want to do the same on the other side. So go through both of those pairs of rings that we had added already. And double that ring up. Okay. So there you go. That's what it looks like when it's joined all up in pattern, and as I said, you just keep going down the bracelet, repeating those steps until you've joined all of the side sections together. Okay, so just pop a ring in each of the 14 gauge rings, so excuse that. I've opened and closed these rings a couple of times. These are my working rings, so they may not be in the best of condition. There we go. So 1 in there, 1 in there, and then we go down to the next 4mm ID ring in our Romanov unit, and we put 1 on each side there as well. One through there. Okay, and then once we've done that, taking up another ring, we're going to go through the ring that we just added, and we're going to pick up the wing here on the outside of that Byzantine unit. Okay, we're going to close that up, and we're going to double that up. Okay. So again, we're just going to do that all the way around until we've placed all of those rings in the corners of our work. So pick up the wing, pick up the loose ring, double it up. Doesn't look good. Let's try this one. Okay, pick up the wing, and then the loose ring. Double it up, okay. Alright, then we want to go to the other Byzantine unit and do the same one there, the other. Okay, so then we do the same here up on the other Romanov unit. Go through the ring, through the wing, through the spare ring. Double that ring up. Being a bit stubborn, isn't it? There we go. And we need just 1 more over here. Close that up. Add 1 more. So once we've got all those corner rings placed, we then want to just join those together to each other on each side. We just take up another ring, go through both of those pairs, joining them together, doubling that ring up. And then doing the same on the other side of the bracelet. Okay, and one final ring. Okay, so there you go. There's all the pieces joined together, and then just to finish this off, we need to attach the clasp. So again, I'm just going to take up another 3.5mm ID ring, go through the end ring there of the Romanov unit. Before closing, pop on my lobster clasp, and then down on the other end, we just want to add a ring that we can then close our clasp onto when we're wearing it. There you go, guys. There's your finished Anastasia bracelet, which is a variation of the Romanov weave. Hey guys, well that's it. That's the video tutorial today. I hope you enjoyed making this bracelet and the slight variation and the different look that it gives the Romanov weave. This is a great companion piece to our first kit in the Maille Club subscription of November, the Tatiana necklace. So go check that out if you haven't seen it already, and you'll be able to whip that up in no time as well. Alright guys, well thanks for popping along. I hope you enjoyed the video today. Give it a thumbs up if you did, that'd be great. Share it with your mates on social media, that would be even better. And if you're not a subscriber, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell while you're there, so you'll be notified of every time we upload new content to our channel. While you're here, don't forget to check out some of that content. At time of recording, there is about 190 odd videos up, so you're sure to find something that you'll enjoy. And last but not least, while you're here, don't forget to click our little link up here for our shop, where you'll be able to buy all the bits and bobs and you know what's to make this bracelet and many of our other projects here. Alright guys, thanks so much for turning up and watching, and I hope to see you again sometime in the very near future. Alright, bye!